Hey everyone, it's leilaniforgod. I'm back with another video. So in this one, I wanted to talk about gang stalking and targeted individuals in greater detail because a lot of people are victims of gang stalking activity. It's a lot more common than you think. There are many YouTubers who talk about it. They have thousands and thousands of views. Some channels are dedicated to specifically talking about gang stalking and being targeted individuals. Okay. And that's like literally all their content is focused on that subject. And they have tons of subscribers and views because it is a real thing. And I have to say that because the first thing that people who don't believe that gang stalking is real will say to a targeted individual is that they are crazy or delusional or schizophrenic or paranoid. And trust me, I am a professional mental health and substance abuse counselor, and those mental conditions do exist. But I have not had any clients that ever complained of gang stalking as a result of their mental illness. Usually when people complain of gang stalking, they're perfectly sane. So don't be quick to judge people, but try to follow this video to the end because as it goes on, I'm going to give more and more and more proof that this is a real thing and how it unfolds. I also want to give a trigger warning for anyone who's been a victim of gang stalking, anyone who considers themselves a targeted individual. This video might be highly triggering for you. I'm also going to go over some aspects of demonic activity. So if that is very triggering for you, I want to give you a warning and give you an opportunity to exit this video now because it's going to get very real. All right, with that having been said, this is the picture that I used for my thumbnail on my last video where I talked about how YouTubers are getting together, ganging up to harass me, people I have not done anything wrong to, how they feel compelled to just join up together to focus on me. And I used this picture for the thumbnail, but I was not able to get the whole picture in the thumbnail. I was only able to get like the bottom chest part. So the reason why I'm showing you this picture again in this video is to show you how gang stalking is basically people who are controlled by a legion of demons. It's a spiritual warfare connection. Okay, these are people who have a hive mentality. A hive mentality like Beyonce's beehive. It's a group of people who are collectively brainwashed, who are spiritually connected. They might be in different places, but they will have the exact same negative reaction to a targeted individual. Okay. And so I think that this piece of artwork that shows this legion, this one individual with all of these demons inside of him, to me, it represents the group mind, group thinking. How different people can all of a sudden be activated in a moment's notice to behave in a demonic way. Even if they're not in the same room talking to each other, deep down inside, they have the same intention deep inside of them. That's a spiritual issue. All right, so there's a YouTuber who has talked about being a targeted individual. I'm going to show you the link to her video in the next slide. But what I wanted to show was what someone said under her comment section about being a targeted individual. And they said, listening to Psalms every night seemed to have helped eliminate my gang stalking for some reason. So even though I'm going to be talking about a lot of demonic activity in this video, I always want you guys to know that being close to God is really the only solution to your problems. We live in a world where there are serpent seeds. There are people who are evil, wicked, and negative from birth, and they will never get better. If you just want to look up statistics, it is estimated statistically that 3% of the human population is psychopath and psychotic. These people are very dangerous, the type of people that will murder, rape, rob, just do all sorts of violence, and they have no guilty conscience. They sleep good at night. Okay, so there are people who are just automatically set up to be evil and wicked. All right, and then from a spiritual perspective, there was a war in heaven to where the devil wanted to be God and was cast out of heaven. and a third of the angels left and went with the devil, and they were all cast down to earth, where they roam and harass the human population. Okay, they through spiritual means, through mental telepathy, mental communication. A demon can give you suggestions. Okay, if you remember watching cartoons as a little kid, they had the cartoons, they always show like one angel on one shoulder, one devil on the other shoulder. That's because spiritual forces are around us and can influence us through mental telepathy. When people get feelings of suicidal ideations, they want to kill themselves, or they hear voices telling them to kill someone else. Sometimes it's mental illness, and sometimes it's demon possession or influence. Okay. And so reading, this person said, listening to Psalms every night seemed to have helped eliminate their gang stalking for some reason. You want to influence yourself towards God's army. Even though 1/3 of the angels of heaven were cast out with Satan by their own personal choice, 2/3 of the angels of heaven remained. So that means that the bigger army is God's army. The 2/3 army is bigger than the 1/3 army. Okay. So just like there's demonic influence, there's also angelic influence. And of course, everything happens under God. All right. So just because the world seems to be overrun with wicked and evil, it's because humans are allowing themselves to be influenced by the devil's people. It's influence. You don't have to be evil and wicked unless you were born a serpent seed and are part of the 3% of the world population. No matter where you go in the world, 3% of the population is psychotic and psychopathic. Okay. But that's a very small population. That means 97% of the world's population is making a choice if you're going to be evil and wicked or not. So I made you guys a playlist called Gang Stalking Facts on my Leilani for God page. And there's a bunch of videos in there. It says I put in there 13 videos. The top one is the one I was showing you, where somebody in the comment section said they listen to Psalms every night, and that's how they cut out their gang stalking. She made a video, a message to my gang stalking haters, you know. Someone else made a video I put in the playlist. He said most spiritual YouTubers are agents connected to, the title is most spiritual YouTubers are agents connected to gang stalking and shadow banning. All right. So he starts exposing some people that I've exposed as well on my channel. So that's the reason why I put his video in the playlist. Stalking apps could be on your phone without you knowing. Okay. Uncovering the dark world of gang stalking. All right. FBI informant exposes sting operation. Secret FBI program, counterintelligence program, the secret FBI program explained. It's a form of gang stalking. Connecting the dots and recognizing stalking. The nightmare world of gang stalking. See, this guy has a camera and he's confronted a person who's also filming him. So it's like you have to be able to prove that this is happening, or people will say that you're crazy. Okay, here's 5 people charged variously with stalking and harassing by the Justice Department. Okay, Scientology murders and cover-ups. I once saw a Scientology documentary, and the reporter who was doing it, he was like a legitimate reporter from the BBC News Channel, I think it was. And he flew, I think, from the UK to the United States to, interview with people who left the Scientology community. Now, mind you, this reporter left the UK and flew to the United States. I'm laughing because when I watched it, he snapped. He went off because everywhere he went to go drive and meet up with the people who had left the Scientology church, he was followed. He was followed by people who work for the Scientology organization. They followed him and they were videotaping him just like this guy in this picture. And at one point, he finally just got out of his car, and he kept showing it throughout the documentary. He was like, look at these people following me. And eventually he got out of his car and he walked up to them and he started screaming and yelling at them. And it was crazy because you know, he's breaking character as a journalist, as a professional. And he was like, why are you following me? I mean, he went off. I wish I knew exactly which documentary it was, because the way that they was following this reporter around was amazing. It's like, how do they know what his next move is? You know, and they would show up when he was interviewing the people who left the Scientology, and they would show up with folders, and they would open the folder and say, oh, you're interviewing John Doe. He's a criminal. He went to jail for stealing. They would just start saying all type of things about these people. What does that have to do with the fact that they've left your organization and now they want to do an interview with the journalist to expose how terrible your organization is? All you're doing is proving his point that the organization is a bad organization. But it's a good example of gang stalking. When people just won't let you go, they follow you around, they harass you, they try to put your name down, try to prevent you from having success in life. They want to make you out to be a bad person to ruin your opportunities for success. And I'm going to prove it in this video. So keep listening, because as the video goes on, I'm going to give more and more and more proof. Anyway, also in the playlist I made for you guys, I put this movie, Fallen by Denzel Washington. All right. This movie is a good example of gang stalking as well. But what I liked about it is that, I don't want to give away the whole movie, but people were able to touch another person and pass the demonic spirit on that way. Okay. So in large crowded public places, a demon could touch another person who's just walking down the street, and that spirit will get in that person, and then that person will turn into a gang stalker. And that's what was happening to Denzel Washington in this movie. It's an old movie, but it's a good representation of gang stalking. Also, they didn't have this movie on YouTube. It says buy or rent. I'm not saying that you should buy or rent it, and Children of the Corn as well. It's not free on YouTube. If you have, you know, the means and the methods of watching movies, I recommend that you watch these other two movies as well, The Box and Children of the Corn. These are old movies too, but again, they prove the point of what happens once you become a victim of gang stalking, how it's a spiritual movement that just happens in people. 1 minute they're normal, and the next minute they're focused on a targeted individual and start stalking them. It's a spiritual possession that takes over people who are open to being demonically possessed. Children of the Corn is a really good one that shows how that happens. It was like kids, you know, murderous children, you know, but they were possessed by a demonic spirit. This movie, The Box, was very interesting. I have considered doing a specific video around this movie, The Box, because it's so much like information that's relevant to spiritual warfare, right? But anyway, it says here in the description, what if someone gave you a box containing a button that, if pushed, would bring you $1 million? But simultaneously, and it gets cut off there, but basically what happens is, just like in this picture, this man visited this woman. She lost her job, so she was vulnerable and desperate in that moment. And he said, I have an offer for you. If you push the button on this box, I'll give you $1 million. But you know, somewhere in the world, someone will die, right? And so she took the box home with her husband, and they first didn't want to do it, but they did. Okay. They pushed the button, and, you know, I kind of want to give the movie away, but I don't. But, I mean, I have to say this. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm about to spoil a movie. You want to fast forward to the next clip if you don't want me to spoil this movie for you. I'm going to spoil a movie now. Okay. So they know that if they push the button, the husband and the wife, that they will get $1 million. And also the husband lost his job too. The husband, I think in the movie, worked for NASA, and the wife, she was a school teacher. So these are both basically government organizations, and they both got fired. So it seems that the husband and the wife were targeted for this box to come to them, because why would they both get fired at the same time? So they're desperate for money. And then magically, out of nowhere, this man shows up to their house with this box. And he comes to the wife with it first, which is interesting because it's just like the story of the serpent and Eve. You know, the serpent goes and tells Eve, hey, if you do this, you know, things will get better for you. And then she's like, no, I know that's not the right thing to do. And the serpent is like, yeah, you'll be better off. Just listen to me. So anyway, it was the same situation. Anyway, she eventually convinced the husband to push the box because they were both unemployed and they had a small child. And they pushed the button and they got the $1 million. And they became a part of a network of people that were gang stalking them and other people. And they would get a blank stare in their eyes and their noses would bleed when the demonic possession would come over them. Anyway, at the end of the movie, here comes the spoiler. Sorry for those who are disappointed, but their child at the end of the movie, I think, was killed. Right. So that means that the box went to the next person, and whoever the next person was that, you know, was given the box was told you can push this button and get $1 million. But some random person in the world that you don't know is going to die. So after Cameron Diaz's character pushed that button, somebody died. And then at the end of the movie, her own child suffered and died because somebody else pushed the button. So that means that she now put herself in line to be a part of the group of people who could randomly die the next time somebody pushes the button. Okay, guys? So that's why you never want to make a deal with the devil. It never works out. Working for the devil never works out. All of the people that work for the devil, miserable, miserable, miserable. I don't care how much money they have. I'm going to do a video on that to prove that point to you guys. All right. Let's move on. So there's this guy, ex-Satanist John Ramirez. He has a lot of videos on YouTube about defeating witchcraft. He himself, okay, he's doing a little 666 hand sign, but he himself has said that he was a practicing, I don't know what they call the men, warlocks. The man is the warlock, the women are the witches. Anyway. A lot of gay men call themselves witches. I don't know if it's because they want to be women or because witch could be male or female. I don't know. But this man says he used to practice satanic witchcraft or whatever. And he tells a lot of details. And I appreciate that because it's hard to know what goes on with these people because they have to keep all their stuff a secret. Right. And the only reason why you have to keep a secret is because you know what you're doing is wrong. But anyway, he gives up a lot of information, okay? And I can't remember which one of his videos I watched. I did watch one of his videos, and he said that when he was doing a whole lot of satanic stuff, demons would tell him to assault people. So he could be walking down the street minding his business, and demons would tell him, go in this building, and somebody's going to come down the stairs, stab them. And he would do it. He would have to do it. Like the demons would torment him until he did what they told him to do. He also said that he was assigned to an area, like a neighborhood. And he would say that other demonic people like himself who practice witchcraft, they would be part of the assignment too. They have neighborhoods that they target. They try to recruit people into witchcraft, or they target people to hurt at random. He also said that there was something else. I can't remember because I have so many things I want to talk to you guys about. I'm trying to remember all of these details. Anyway, he just gives a lot of information on how, he said that witches and warlocks are assigned to churches. That's what he said also. So when people get involved in demonic activity, the demons assign them to areas, to churches, to hurt people. Like they call it missions. Like they have to go on missions. But I thought it was very interesting that he revealed how, you know, they are very specifically assigned to target groups of people, neighborhoods, churches. All right. So wherever you go, there are potentially one or more demonic people. The only reason they're there is to target whoever seems to be weak or vulnerable or susceptible to a demonic attack. And again, let me remind you guys, the only way to counteract demonic attacks is to have a personal relationship with God. If you are not covered with God's protection as a result of your faith in the creator that created you and everything else, then you are going to deal with a lot of these influences. All right. So I had someone ask me today, they said, drop the gang stalk video. So I said, okay, that will be the next one. And I'm doing this today. I want you to know. Okay. So this is the video drop for you. But also someone asked me 2 weeks ago, I blocked out the person's name and picture because they have been a victim of this gang stalking activity. And I don't want to put them out there. But they said everything makes sense now after they watched one of my videos. And I said, unfortunately, the devil is deceiving most people in the form of false prophets and mass media. And the person said, I couldn't understand why agents were following me around. Now I see, after reading comments of people saying they were targeted after following him, somebody that I exposed. I had no idea what was happening. I had to pray and fast today, and you popped up. Everything in the awakening was happening so fast. I didn't know what was thanking them, Father, or for revelation. I asked and got the answers. So I said, oh, wow, I will do a video on targeted individuals really soon. Okay. In the meantime, check out my video on how to stop demonic attacks. The person says, sis, I was like, what the hell do they want? I ain't killed nobody, robbed nobody, blew up nothing. Why the hell are these devils on my line? My father keeping me. That's the reals, though. Nobody can mess with me. I tell you, sis, it is written. So the person is saying they don't understand how it's possible that not only that person, but they noticed others were saying that they felt like they was being targeted by agents after they started following a certain YouTuber. And I'm going to break all of that down in this video. How the devil network works in real life through gangs, fraternities, sororities, cults, and secret societies. I'm going to get into all of that in this video. So you want to watch this video to the end. All right. So the bottom line is that people are evil because they don't love God. When you're dealing with evil, wicked people, you are dealing 100% with the devil. Evil people gang stalk targeted individuals. It is a form of spiritual warfare. Legions of demons network and recruit through cults, street gangs, fraternities, and sororities, and organized secret societies. Me personally, I became a targeted individual as a result of community organizing and political activism. In my community, I was working on committees to build charter schools, food co-ops. I was going around participating with other community organizations that were doing free food and clothing distributions in low-income communities. And I was on a committee to develop fair housing practices. Okay, we were regular people who worked 9-to-5 jobs, and we formed a committee, and we would make appointments with the politicians and tell them, listen, you need to advocate for more fair housing. That means lowering the rent. That means enforcing all of these big building developers got so much grants from the government, but they were told in exchange they had to offer some income-based housing options in those buildings. And those people built so many buildings, and they didn't offer any of those apartments at an affordable rate, even though they got the tax breaks to do so. So we caused some politicians to enforce it, and some apartments did open up, and some people were able to get low-income housing in nice buildings and things like that. So I became a targeted individual because those are the things I used to do. Okay, I spent years doing stuff like that around my community and what have you. And I even led some of my own meetings where I started a food co-op. I was doing clothing drives independently of working with other organizations as well. So even though I was never like a gun-toting revolutionary, anytime you were involved in community activism, you automatically perceived as a revolutionary. So one time I was having a meeting, and like I said, most of the conversation at my meetings was about food co-ops, clothing drives, and stuff like that. I never talked about anything violent. But one day, this rapper named Immortal Technique came to my meeting. And at the time, he had a reputation of being a revolutionary. So people were kind of excited that he was in the room. But as I'm leading the meeting and we're all talking and handing out flyers and all types of activities going on in the room, he has this outburst where he's like, man, where the guns at? What y'all talking about? Where the guns at? And I'm looking at him like, first of all, he's not even black. Why is he here? Okay. Second of all, just because he's a rapper who has a reputation of being a revolutionary, I have never heard or seen him do anything. No food, no clothing, nothing. So who is he to come into a black community-based organization's meeting and demand to know where we keep our guns? First of all, like I said, I don't have any weapons or anything like that. That's number one. Number two, I immediately recognized that he was not a real revolutionary and that he was an agent, okay, trying to infiltrate my organization, use the little tiny bit of celebrity he had at that time to make people think he's down for the cause. But really, if I was stupid enough to buy into his fake celebrity and say, oh, I'll talk to you after the meeting. You trying to get down with us? Oh, we got guns in the closet back here. All he's going to do is go tell the government, go tell the FBI, the police, try to get me arrested and shut down my organization. Okay, that's like how people infiltrate. He had a reputation of being a revolutionary. So for him to come in there and talk like that, if people are stupid enough to believe in him and not pick up that what he's doing is wrong, where's his guns at? Why hasn't he done anything revolutionary since then? This was years ago. What has he done? What has he done to deserve the reputation that he has of being a revolutionary? This is an agent who goes around and infiltrates. His persona is fake, and I'm gonna prove it to you. Another thing that used to happen to me a lot when I used to be involved in community activity, men who would try to talk to me to ask me out on dates. See, here's the good thing about the fact that I became a mental health and substance abuse counselor. I know how to interview people without them knowing that I'm interviewing them. And by interviewing them, I mean giving them a quick psychosocial evaluation. So if I meet a man, he's trying to talk to me, I will quickly ask him a bunch of questions that really dig into his past and his psychology, so I could figure out if this person is one of the psychopaths, or if this person is not on my level, somebody that I would not date for whatever reasons, right? So I know how to question. I know how to question people to get to the bottom of their mental health issues or whatever's going on with them. Anyway, so because I know how to talk to people, I know how to ask questions, I quickly discovered at least 3 different times that men who were trying to talk to me romantically, trying to date me, were Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and FBI agents. Okay. One time, this guy used to come to my meetings and he put his book bag down on the floor against the wall, and he left the bag open. And for some reason, his bag was so full of newspapers or newsletters or magazines or whatever that it spilled out onto the floor. So I noticed it and I went to look over, and like, it just looked like papers. It didn't look like anything, you know, more than the magazines or something. So I was going to go and like scoop them up and put them back in the bag for him. But when I bent over, I realized they were all Rosicrucian newspapers. Like, he's a member of the Rosicrucians. Now, back then, I was not on YouTube. I was not like researching stuff about devil activity or nothing like that. So I had no idea what Rosicrucian was, you know, but now I know that's one of the branches of Freemasonry, right? So this guy was just like Immortal Technique, was coming to my meetings, except he was flirting with me, trying to date me. And lo and behold, he's a Rosicrucian. Now, when I asked him what he was, what his beliefs are, his background, he said that he was a Sufi Muslim. And that's another red flag that I know now that I did not know then. When these men say that they're Sufi Muslims, that's another like level of Freemasonry. Like, when they're getting involved and becoming a Rosicrucian or a Freemason, one of the like levels of their training is to become a Muslim, and specifically a Sufi Muslim. It's like they go through different religious branches because they believe that all religions are the same. And so they teach them to go through all these different levels of different religions, only for them to end up becoming a satanic Luciferian in the end. Anyway, another time a guy approached me. He wanted to talk to me. We exchanged numbers. We talked on the phone. Even though we had already met in person in real life, he tried to text me and say like, oh, send me some pictures. Now, I have never in my life sent anybody a nude picture, and I would never do that. So I didn't. I drew a stick figure on a piece of paper and I took a screenshot and I sent him a screenshot of a stick figure that I drew on a piece of paper. And I said, this is me. And I told him, I said, you send me a picture. So he sent me a bunch of pictures. They were not nude pictures. They were just pictures of him hanging out with his friends. Anyway, he messed up by him sending me a bunch of pictures. One of them was him with some other guys, and they were holding up some really huge guns, like big, I don't know what they were, big guns, right? And I'm like, there's no way he bought that off the street. So I texted him back and I was like, are you FBI? And he texted me back and said yes. And I never heard from him again. So I think he made a mistake, but I'm just letting you guys know that I have been a targeted individual before I even ever joined YouTube. And it's because I was a community activist. All right. And so what happens is these Freemasons and government agents and these fake rappers and celebrities that are demonic entities, you know, they were trying to infiltrate me left, right, and center. OK, and it didn't work. You know, by the grace of God, there go I. And I'm glad that I found my way back to God, because when you're just living for mankind and doing things for humanity, you lose your connection to God. Even though I was doing good work in the community and I helped a lot of people who needed help, I was not like on my relationship with God. And so that left me vulnerable to demonic attacks. Okay, so like I said, in this part, we're going to break down cults, street gangs, fraternities, sororities, and organized secret societies. Okay, so we're about to get into some really heavy stuff now. What is the purpose of cults? A cult is an organized group whose purpose is to dominate cult members through psychological manipulation and pressure strategies. Cults are usually headed by a powerful leader who isolates members from the rest of society. Some individuals who join cults remain lifelong members. Okay? So psychological manipulation and pressure can cause people to stay with a group for their whole life. Why do cults recruit? They might invite a high school student to talk about how public service can enhance a college application. Recruiters identify the specific needs or desires of their targets and play to them. They learn to pick up on a person's fears and vulnerabilities and portray the cult accordingly. So I thought it's interesting that in talking about why cults recruit, that they used an example of high school students and college. It's so interesting how all of this stuff is connected and related. Okay, guys, and I'm going to show you that as this video goes on. Why do people join gangs? The main reason people join gangs is to feel a sense of community and family, wanting to feel as if they belong and are needed. Other reasons include the need for excitement, or because they believe it is the best way to survive or gain respect or status among their age group. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons why people join gangs: community, family, excitement, survival, respect, or status. Okay, what is a typical gang initiation? Probably the most common method of gang initiation is the classic beatdown, aka being jumped in. It involves the wannabe gangster fighting a specific number of the gang's members for a certain amount of time. The wannabe must withstand the beating as well as fight back. What is the initiation for Hell's Angels? New members of the Hell's Angels reportedly required to engage in an incredibly unhygienic baptism. Existing club members put fecal matter and urine into a bucket, and said bucket is poured on the new angel's head. The newly soiled soldier cannot wash or change clothes for the duration of the evening. Ugh, just want to barf. Cannot believe this. Oh, child. But you see how they're hell's angels? These are the devils, you know, the satanic angels that left heaven with Satan. And so instead of a baptism by water, they're going to put a bucket of urine and poop all over you and make you keep it on all night. And they're going to be around you and smell that crap because they also went through the same initiation to join. There's nothing good about this stuff. Okay? Anyway, what are the 4 stages of a gang? The evolution of gang business. The 4 stages are recreation, crime, enterprise, and governance. Each stage builds upon the previous. If one were to think of a gang as a house, the recreational stage is the foundation. When they say that the gang is a house, that reminds me of the gay community, the LGBTQ. They form what they call houses, you know, just groups of people, kind of like a gang. But what I really want to point to is the concept of the gay mafia, where if you say anything bad about the gay community, all of a sudden, like a legion of demons, a whole bunch of them will become activated to attack you in real life or on social media or try to cancel you. It's like a spiritual activation that comes over them, and they operate in a gang stalking kind of way if you say anything about them. All right. Anyway, so let's talk more about this immortal technique guy. Notice I typed in immortal technique and automatically the word revolutionary pops up. That's his fake persona. Immortal is one of those demon words. When people call themselves immortal, that means that they sold their soul to the devil. And they know that they're going to have eternal life, but not in heaven, in hell. Anyway, when his very first rap that Immortal Technique ever came out with that established him as a rapper, it has nothing to do with anything revolutionary, but it has everything to do with how he was initiated into a gang. The song is called Dance with the Devil. It's like his most popular song. And it's all about a demonic gang initiation. It's a very long song. The lyrics are like so long, but I just want to isolate a couple of items, okay, just to prove the point that this guy is a demonic entity and part of the devil's legion. So basically he's saying a woman was crying painfully and a group of men were raping her. And at some point, and he was witness to this, he's saying that even though this group of men was raping this woman as part of like their gang initiation, her face had been covered the whole time. But when they showed her face, one of the people that raped her, he like was freaked out because it was his mother. And so it says here, he jumped off the roof and died with no soul as a result of him noticing that it was his mother. Okay, so actually it started at the top. It says right before he pulled the trigger and ended her life, he thought about the cocaine with the platinum and ice. He felt strong standing along with his new brothers, cocked the gat to her head and pulled back the shirt cover. But what he saw made him start to cringe and stutter because he was staring into the eyes of his own mother. She looked back at him and cried because he had forsaken her. She cried more painfully than when they were raping her. So this guy basically participated in the gang rape of this woman. And then when they finally showed her face, like I said, it was his mother. And it says here, his whole world stopped. He couldn't even contemplate. His corruption has successfully changed his fate. And he remembered how his mom used to come home late, working hard for nothing. Because now, what was he worth? He turned away from the woman that once gave him birth. Okay. And then below that, he says, crying out to the skies because he was lonely and scared. But only the devil responded because God wasn't there. And right then he knew what it was to be empty and cold. So he jumped off the roof and died with no soul. They say death takes you to a better place, but I doubt it. After they killed his mother and never spoke about it. And here goes a mortal technique. He says, and I listen because the story that I'm telling is true, because I was there with Billy Jacobs. I raped his mom too. And now the devil follows me everywhere that I go. Gosh, I'm trying to highlight this. And now the devil follows me everywhere that I go. In fact, I'm sure he's standing among one of you at my shows. Okay. So this is immortal technique. Talking about himself, saying he was there. He's one of the gang members that raped that kid's mom. And now the devil follows him, immortal technique, wherever he goes. In fact, I'm sure he's standing among you at one of my shows. All right. So this is immortal technique's biggest song, Dance with the Devil. Okay. And this is the guy who tried to infiltrate one of my meetings and try to set me up to get arrested by the police by demanding to know where the guns were at. Okay. Because he has this fake persona as a revolutionary. He's a demonic entity. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys how gangs and gang stalking works and that it is a demonic issue. So this happens all over the world. Stop organized gang stalking. This petition came out because there's a huge problem of women being gang raped in public all over India. All right. So it says, after Delhi gang rape, has anything changed for women in India? Woman allegedly raped, beaten, and paraded through the streets. This is something that commonly happens in India. A woman, it could be minding her business, walking down the street. In fact, there was a huge story some years ago that a woman was publicly raped on a bus. That means there was tons of people around and nobody did anything. This is very common in India. Okay. And so they started this petition, Stop Organized Gang Stalking, in Bangalore. Okay. Which is in India. So, I mean, it's such a public issue that one person gets the demonic spirit and starts raping a woman in public, and then other people join in, and then other people just watch, and nobody does anything to stop it. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about gang stalking, targeted individuals. It's a spiritual possession that comes over a group of people simultaneously, and they become activated to focus on a target and terrorize that person as much as they can. Okay, more articles about public gang rapings in India on YouTube. Latin America's deadliest place to be a woman. Puerto Rican Day Parade attacks of 2000. Same thing. At the Puerto Rican Day Parade, women will walk around. It's a huge public thing. And then all of a sudden, a group of men will surround one woman in public, in broad daylight, on the street, on the sidewalk, and just rape her. A group of men. This has happened many times at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Public gang raping. Okay? Fraternities and sororities. Why do people join fraternities? Fraternity and sorority membership helps young men and women cultivate leadership skills, gain a sense of social identity, and learn to play well with others. Fraternity and sorority membership helps young men and women cultivate leadership skills, gain a sense of social identity. Oh, it duplicated itself. And learn to play well with others. Reasons. Acceptance. The first and most common reason why guys join a fraternity is because they are looking for acceptance. Most guys who will be rushing your fraternity are freshmen who have just recently stepped foot for the first time onto a college campus. Now, people are not just rushing to join fraternities as freshmen the first time they get in college. These fraternities recruit, and sororities is the female version of a fraternity. They recruit They have events, they have parties, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's sex. The people who recruit, they will pick the most attractive of the male and female members to dress up, walk around campus, hand out flyers, flirt with new people in order to entice them into joining the fraternities and the sororities. And one of the main things that they tell you is that it will be easier for you to get high paying jobs because you'll have connections with everyone who's ever been a member in the history of the fraternity or the sorority. And these fraternities and sororities go back 100 years or more. So if this fraternity or sorority was started in the 1900s and somebody tells you as a freshman in college, join us, we have thousands of members worldwide working at high levels in society because the membership goes back to the 1900s. So the connections are very old. And people who join them, a lot of times they influence their kids to go to the same colleges they went to and join the same fraternities and sororities that they joined. And so you have even generations of people. And so they say, we have a huge network. And once you're in, your life will be so much easier. So that's how they really trick people into joining. So there's some articles that I just quickly took a screenshot of that says, how much have fraternity connections helped you or not get a job? Okay. And it says here, 5 ways rushing a fraternity or sorority will help you land a job. Interviewing and networking events will be a breeze. Okay. So basically, that's the real true main recruiting point. How long does a fraternity initiation take? Pledging is an intensive orientation and probationary period for students pursuing fraternity membership. Over the course of 6 weeks or more, pledges study all the facets of fraternity life and the Greek system. You'll also spend time bonding with your new brothers. So the fraternities are based on the Greek system, pan-Hellenism. And I told you guys, anything that starts with the word pan is related to Pan, the goat god, the Baphomet, the devil, and people riding goats. The men that join the Masonic Lodge have to, do nasty things with goats and stuff like that, and with each other, of course. So that's what's really going on, but whatever. What happens in fraternity hazing? Hazing is documented beyond post-secondary institutions. That means hazing when people can join inside or outside of college. Fraternity hazing is any activity that takes place in fraternities on college campuses across the U.S. These hazing activities fall into 3 categories: intimidation, harassment, and violence. Some examples of fraternity hazing are deception. Okay, so to join, you have to submit yourself to intimidation, harassment, and violence. So joining a fraternity is just like joining a gang. You're going to have to be beat up, peed on, pooped on, harassed, gang stalked, all this stuff just to join these crazy, retarded, demonic people, right? What is hazing initiation? Hazing is a ritual that involves risk, pain, or harm, typically as part of initiation into a group. College hazing often entails excessive alcohol consumption and ritualized pain endurance. Over half of college students involved in sports or clubs have experienced hazing. Okay. So basically, actually, I remember when I was in college, there was a guy who told me he was pledging to a fraternity. And I asked him, I was like, oh, are they hazing you? I heard about that. And he was like, yeah, they are. But he said he couldn't really tell me everything. So I'm like, well, what can you tell me? And he told me that they made him lick the floor on the subway. They were all taking the train somewhere and they told him, oh, get down on the floor and lick the floor. And he did. Can you imagine somebody getting on the floor and licking the subway train floor? Ew. I don't know who he was dating, but to imagine going home and he kissed his girlfriend or his wife or whatever after he licked the subway floor. Like, I don't even understand why people do stuff like that. He also told me that they would invite him to events when he was going through his hazing, his initiation, and he would go to the event and nobody would be there. So that's what they're talking about. Examples of fraternity hazing are deception. So they would tell him lies and he would show up to, one time he told me he walked along the beach. It was so hot. They told him they were having a beach day. And he walked up and down the beach in the hot sun and until he realized, oh, they lied to him. They're not there. And he was willing to go through it. He was still in the process of initiation. And those are the stories he told me. So I don't know why he wanted to be down so bad, but he did. In the black colleges, they have started their own Greek fraternities and sororities in the black colleges because the white ones are racist against black people. So the black people had to start their own, and they're called the Divine Nine. Those are the black sororities and the fraternities, and they are in the historically black colleges and universities. Okay. The Bill Cosby is one of the biggest contributors to the historically black colleges and universities. Almost all, if not all of the characters on his Cosby show were all graduates and members of the historically black colleges and universities where they pledged to these Greek fraternities and sororities. They call themselves Black Greeks. There's so many things wrong with that. It's like, I don't even want to get into it right now. I would have to do a whole nother video on the black sororities and fraternities. So if you guys want me to do that, let me know in the comment section and I'll do a whole separate video on that. A number of people have already covered this on YouTube, so you can look it up yourself. But if you want me to cover it, just let me know. Anyway, so the Divine Nine are the black, specific black Greek fraternities and sororities, and they operate on historically black college campuses. Okay. Now, there's 9 of them. Okay. But I'm only going to talk about one to prove a point to you. So one of them is this Alpha Kappa Alpha. Also, I looked into this one because it was the first one at the top of the list on Wikipedia. Alpha Phi Alpha. I looked into who are their corporate sponsors, and they are partnered with like the Boys and Girls Club of America. That goes to show how young these Greek fraternities and sororities start recruiting kids. Okay, the only reason that they are partnered with the Boys and Girls Club of America is to influence those kids to eventually grow up and join some satanic sorority or fraternity or cult or gang or whatever. Okay, we're going to talk about this one here, Alpha Kappa Alpha, because it was easy for me to find their sponsors and partners. And see, a lot of people are not going to watch this video to this point, and they're going to miss this valuable information I'm about to share with you. This is how they're able to target and gang stalk you randomly. You're a random person, all right? Like I mentioned, the sister or the person who was calling me sis here was saying they could not understand why agents were following them around. And now they realize after reading comments of people saying they were targeted after following a certain YouTuber. They're saying, how is it possible? This is how it's possible. So this sorority is sponsored by Experian. That's a credit organization. The Social Security Administration. Equifax, another credit organization. LifeLock, Lions International, Merrill Lynch, PwC, Regent, Soul for Soul, TransUnion, another credit organization. Geico, Black Health Matters, Volkswagen. Now here's what I want you to pay attention to. Experian, Equifax, Social Security Administration, TransUnion. These organizations have all of everybody, almost everybody in America, personal information. They have your social security number, all of the addresses that you ever lived at, all the jobs that you've ever worked at. Now, what happens is, like I said, when they recruit people to join fraternities and sororities, they tell them, oh, because of our connections, you're going to get a good job. We can help you through the network get good jobs. They work in these places. They work for Experian. They work for the Social Security. They work at Equifax. They work at TransUnion. They work at these different places. That's their corporate sponsors and partners. So if you following, to go back to that person's comment, if you're following a YouTuber and all of a sudden you become targeted, they could have easily gotten hacked your phone or traced your IP address. One of them, right? And then they know your name, your address, your personal information. And then they just run it through their other fraternity or sorority members who work at Experian, who works for Social Security, who works at Equifax, who works at TransUnion. And they pull up all your personal information. And that's how they're able to gang stalk you and target you and make you feel like you're crazy. Because how is it possible? How is this happening? This is how these people... I don't know how many YouTubers. There's one right now who's going to jail. This gay guy named MC Shaky. He's like, he doxes people on YouTube, and even other like celebrities and artists or whatever. He gets on YouTube. If you say something mean to him and he doesn't like you, it doesn't matter who it is. He has pulled up so many people's credit reports and read them on YouTube. Oh, this person owes money over here. Oh, this person never paid back a payday loan that they got. How? How is he able to pull up anybody that he gets into a beef with? It doesn't matter who it is. He pulls up their credit reports. How? Because he's involved in one of these satanic networks. All he had to do is call one of his friends that works at these organizations that work where they can have access to all of your personal information. And the fact that these credit bureaus and the Social Security Administration sponsor and partner with this fraternity, that means that those fraternity members get jobs with those corporations and they're able to call up anybody that works at these places and say, give me the information on this person. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Does this make sense? All right. So they also partnered with AARP, another organization that has almost everybody's information. Insurance, Denny's, Facebook, Walgreens. Okay. This is how the Devil Network has, like, everybody can access anybody's information, can gang stalk anybody that they want to. All you do is when they have their secret meetings, they have these meetings they go to every week. They lie to all their friends and family. They say they in church or they busy, but they have their secret meetings. They have to pay a lot of money to be a part of these things. The Devil's Network is extremely expensive for them. And they gather and they share information. They could probably just go to a meeting and say, oh, I want to gang stalk somebody at my job. I hate this lady. Somebody who's like, give me her name. I work for Experian or Equifax. Give the name. Next thing you know, that person have all your personal information and start harassing you all over the place. All right. Somebody, this is just a random comment I picked up on YouTube watching a random video. Somebody in the comments has said, when are we going to give God all of our energy the same way we worry about people? Right? And that's really the issue. If you're not connected to God, that's the only way that the devil's people are going to be able to target you and harass you. Someone says strong words there. There's something to keep in our minds. And then someone, now look at the name of this person, hard-working criminal. What did he say? Who is God? That's my question. I give my kids and family my energy. Hard-working criminal. See what I'm saying? This person does not believe in God. Why are people demonic? Because they don't love God. Demonic people are criminal, violent, narcissistic, gaslighters, manipulators, gang stalkers, haters, thieves, cheaters, and pathological liars. Why are people demonic? Because they don't love God. Okay? So pay attention. If you're dealing with a demonic entity, somebody who does not love God, somebody who does not know God, somebody who does not want to love God, somebody who does not want to know God, I don't care how much friends, family, kids, jobs, whatever they do in life that seems like it's just a regular person, that person can be on a moment's notice demonically activated to target another person and cause them serious harm. So this is very serious, guys. You have to be close to God, or you might find yourself too close to the devil. All right. So I want to recommend you guys a strategy. You have to have a relationship with God to be able to understand the scriptures. But one thing that has worked for me whenever I'm dealing with demonic attacks is to read one proverb a day. The book of Proverbs in the Bible has 31 chapters. And so you read one a day. It only takes a few minutes. And they may have nothing to do with whatever's going on in your life at the moment. You just read one a day, and it might not be related. You might be like, this has nothing to do with me. But what it does, it just puts you in a mindset of just staying focused on God, staying prayerful. And it just gives you like an extra level of protection. So if you're feeling nervous or afraid, or like you're under demonic attack, read one proverb a day in addition to working on your relationship with God. And like I said, it's 31 chapters, so that would get you through a whole month. You can read it in a physical Bible. Just keep a bookmark. Read it when you wake up or before you go to sleep. Or you could download it to your phone, or you could just pull it up on your phone on Google. You could set an alarm on your phone to ring at a certain time every day to remind yourself, oh, okay, it's day 5. Let me remember to go read my proverb a day. All right, guys. So that's another good strategy for helping protect yourself from demonic activity, because it's all over the place. They're always recruiting. They're always busy. They're always active, doing something crazy and wrong and criminal. So you do have to keep a strong relationship with God in order to keep the full armor of protection around you. Stay blessed, and I'll see you in my next video.